What was I thinking? Um, Jovian, sex, blah blah blah, Ray, work plans. So okay, so like in my elementary school, um, it was like I went to a Montessori school. No idea what the fuck that means. All I know is that apparently the way my elementary school, it was a public school, so it wasn't like the Montessori cult. No, like it was just a public school. It was pretty normal. Like it was a pretty average school experience. Like that. There's really nothing different about it. But basically, I guess the whole thing with Montessori is that they were able to at least change the way they did things in terms of like curriculum and teaching. We still got taught the same things, but I guess they were allowed a little bit more flexibility with the way they did things, which I don't really know how true that is, seeing as I only went to one elementary school. I only know how one elementary school operated, so, obviously my understanding of elementary school operations and its inner workings is not complete. But yeah, so that's just what I was told, and what I can just assume from my experience there. It wasn't anything crazy or anything to write home about. It was just a pretty normal elementary school experience. But we had these things called work plans, and so basically you would be sent to like a pod in the school, and like the different pods kind of indicated your level, your academic level in the elementary school. It would basically indicate like your level in the academic fucking elementary school. This is a loop. And so like when you're a kid, like when you're kindergarten, preschool, you would go to like you would start in like the yellow pod or like the blue pod. And the blue pod and yellow pod, basically, what I can understand from the different pods is that fucking the yellow pod was for like the slower or kind of like the bad, not really academically inclined students, and the blue pod was for like not students with potential. That sounds really mean. Students willing to follow the rules. And I don't mean to put it like that because it sounds really bad, but like it's basically you. I heard a lot of stories about the yellow pod. I went to the blue pod. I mean, like, not to say like, oh, I'm an amazing fucking kid, I'm so awesome, look at me. No, like no, no, like I was just a fine kid. I'm a fine student. But like so then like you would go to those pods, and they were divided into like two different sides in the pod. Well, like the pods each had like I think 4 classrooms max or something like that. 4 classrooms. And so like you'd go to the yellow pod and you would have like a homeroom teacher out of the 4 teachers, and like blah blah blah, all that good stuff. I always heard things about like the yellow and the red pod. The red pod, so basically the blue pod and the yellow pod were like from kindergarten, preschool / kindergarten to 3rd grade, I think. Or maybe there was more pods and I'm just forgetting, but regardless, think of it like that for now, for simplicity's sake. Is there anything else back here? Oh, yes, there is. I need some iron. I have way too much coal. So I always heard things like, kids in the yellow pod are stupid, kids in the yellow pod are bad. And then the worst part is you would, like, talk to people from the yellow pod, and they would be stupid, or they would be bad. Like, it'd be like, oh, did you hear about blah 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 in the yellow pod? It'd be like, some kid fucking kicked a water bottle at a teacher. And then, like, this shit would turn out to be true. Like, you would see the kid in question being walked down to the principal's office looking mad. And then you would see the said water bottle later on in the day just, like, chilling. I don't know. It was weird. It was crazy because, like, I'm not saying that they didn't have potential or that it was all bad students, because there were good students in there, and the good students sometimes got transferred over to the other pods um, for, like, good behavior. This sounds like a prison. Anyway, so basically, the kids, not all the stereotypes or rumors were true, because, I mean, it's school. This shit's gonna get made up anyway. But, like, sometimes it was. And it's kind of funny, but anyway, so then after you're done with 3rd grade, you then go up to 4th grade, obviously. It's the next step you would logically do and go to. And then you would go to either the red pod or the green pod. And I went to the green pod because I was in the blue pod before, so, like, you know. Like, it's kind of like whatever side you're on, you're going to stay there. So, I go there. You know, if you're bad, you go to the red pod. And the same rumors were the thing. Like, bad students, you're being dumb or don't listen, it's like you go to the red pod. And then you would, like, talk to people from the red pod, and it'd be true. It's like, well, it'd be true for those specific individuals. I'm not trying to make a generalization that everyone in the red pod was there because they deserved it, because it wasn't true. Because, like, I mean, everyone, like, still had friends from every pod anyway, so, you know. And there were some kids like Jovian who deserved to be in the red pod. I think he got moved to the red pod, actually, because, yeah, anyway. Let me smelt some iron, actually. And let me make some blocks of coal so I can hold more shit. So we're just gonna drop this in there. It's gonna do this. There we go, make blocks. Make blocks. Make blocks. Make blocks. There we go. I'm also gonna make another furnace to smelt stuff because I have so much. I'm gonna need some more. I'm gonna make another furnace and smelt some more. I'm also gonna need this. I'm gonna need one of that. And I'm gonna drop this in there. Then I'm gonna drop this in there, and then I'm gonna get this iron. Make a pickaxe. But yeah, so anyway. So, like, anyway, the whole pods and stuff. I had, like, a thing to say. Anyway, so yeah, like, so that's what I assume in the sense of what they meant as, like, they had a little bit more flexibility with the way they did things, is because in the green pod you would go, like, you go into school, you'd walk up the stairs in the back. Not in the back, you'd go through the cafeteria, walk up the stairs. Then you would go to the green pod, and in the green pod, oh, I need to drop this in there and steal this. Actually, let me just make sure, do that, and do this. And you just need 1, 2, 3 of those. And we're gonna make some lapis blocks. And basically, you would walk into the pod, and basically, there was like a little walkway in the middle, separating the two sides of the pod. And like on both sides, there was like 2 classrooms each, but like they were interconnected. You could just literally walk to a, one other side of that pod, of one half of the pod, and you would be in the other classroom. Like they were connected, and each of the teachers had like 1/4 of that. They basically had the 1/4 of of the pod to themselves, and there were 4 teachers in total. And basically each class would just kind of rotate throughout the day to each of the classrooms, but like you could like see across the walkway. Like it was like a little tile walkway, and on this tile walkway in the center, on either side, there were lockers where you could put your backpack and everything. And and um and then you could just go to either side wherever you're supposed to be. And it was just like rug instead of tile floor, obviously. And I don't know why. I just remember one day. This is like not really related, but like I remember. Again, I won't use real names, but Miss Orison, freaking, she was our science teacher. Pretty good overall, I have to say. Wasn't really bad. Nothing bad I can really remember completely per se. But she did say at one point in time, I remember it clearly, she said bones are non-living. Bones. You know your bones that are made of cells? Like, yeah. Yeah, so I was like, what? Well, like at the time, I wasn't really sure because like I was never really told otherwise, and I guess to like as a little kid it makes sense. You don't really think of bones as alive. But like I remember the way she did it. She was like, "Look at your arms, look at your legs. Do you see any bones?" And obviously there were some kids who just were like not thinking, just like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Well, you shouldn't. You should go to a hospital and check that out." Ha ha ha. Really funny. But like then she was like, do you see yeah, but did she follow it up by saying, she might have followed it up by saying your bones are non-living. She like, I don't remember why. I think we were talking about non-living things like rocks. Rocks are non-living. They have never been alive and never will be alive because they're rocks. They just are not living. So they're non-living. And she said bones are like rocks because they're non-living. It's like, I was just like, what? Like as a kid I was skeptical about that, and like later on in middle school I actually learned in like my science class that bones are in fact living, and that they're made of cells, and that a lot of stuff in my body is actually living, including my blood. Blood cells are living. And I was like, I remember learning that, and I was like, what the fuck, Miss Orison? Why did you lie? Why did you tell us something that was just factually incorrect? Like, bones are living. Why did you say they weren't? I just don't understand why she said that. You know? It just doesn't make sense to me. Because, like, it was wrong. Fuck. Oh my god. And, obviously I learned it, but I just, ever since then, I just think back to that day, and I'm just like, why did she lie? Why did you lie, Miss Orison? Why'd you lie and say bones are non-living when they obviously are, given the science? I guess to kids maybe it was just too high concept for us to comprehend, but still, that was just factually incorrect. Like, how many students are running around nowadays from that same school spouting that bones are non-living because Miss Orison told them? Like, what the hell, Miss Orison? That's just wrong. There's also another time in kindergarten when, like, like the pencil flick, well, not the pencil flick thing, but you basically put a pencil on, like, you put a pencil, so it was here. Let me just try to demonstrate with this. Okay, this isn't really the best example, but imagine that's like a pencil, and it's kind of like hanging off of like the edge of like a table, and what you would do is you would punch the, well, you wouldn't punch it, but you would like push down on the edge of the pencil that's off the table really hard and really fast, and the pencil would just go flying because, like, you know, force and science and all that jazz. And it was a really popular thing to do during my time in kindergarten. And I remember once I did it while everyone was lining up to go to lunch. And so, like, you know, I set the pencil up, and I like set it up so like a lot of it's hanging off, and then I hit it, and then it goes flying like directly straight and hits my teacher. I won't use real names, but Miss Antsy. Miss Antsy freaking, it hits her like right in the thigh, and she like looks at me and just like gives me like this like mean scowl, like, "Oh, don't do that again," and she like points her finger at me. She doesn't do anything, she doesn't say anything, and she just continues on. But like, I was like, oh, and I didn't do it again after that, because like I was a good kid, but I did make that mistake. I felt really bad, but like she didn't really seem to care. Like she just kind of gave me like that mean look, but like it is probably nothing, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. That was pretty interesting. Yeah, we have so many materials, and we found so much. This whole like carrying stuff in blocks things, I actually never thought of until I saw. I think it was Phil, the hardcore series guy, the one who did the 5 years hardcore Minecraft series. I saw him doing it. I was like, oh, that is so fucking smart. So now when I'm like mining, because I love mining, I basically condense things into blocks so that way I can carry more of it and I can mine for longer, because like the less stuff I have, the less stuff I have to carry, and like it's pretty nice. This needs to go there. There we go. Let's see, this is still smelting. Other than that, I think we can start heading back. Now, this is the moment where, like, I have no idea where the exit is, so it doesn't matter. So we're not gonna worry about the actual exit. We're just gonna go ahead, craft this into a block, and we're just gonna do the old dig up until we get to the surface and try to find our way back home. Because, damn, we have so much good stuff. Actually, I can make armor while I'm here. I need this and this. There we go. And there we go, full set of armor. Very nice, very nice. And